Hello everybody and welcome to Clair Obscur Expedition 33. We are going to benchmark this brand new game with an RX 9070 and an i5-12600KF PC, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, 2 terabyte plus a 1 terabyte M.2 Gen 4 SSD, and we're going to see what kind of performance we can expect out of this game. And we are starting off, we're in the very beginning of the game. Seems like a pretty demanding area just with all of the foliage and environment around me. The view distance, you know, there's things everywhere. I am currently starting off in, if you look at the graphics here, I'm in low settings, scaling type TSR with scaling mode low. And I've decided I'm going to start with low and go to high and see how we do there. Now there's only two types of scaling I will point out with this game. TSR or XeSS. That's it. No DLSS, no FSR. I am using an AMD card, so obviously I would only see FSR here anyway. But there's no FSR, so it's XeSS or TSR is all we get here. No frame generation, none of that. Basically just your basic upscaling. So I'm going to start with everything TSR here, and we'll start with low settings. You can see the resolution scale is 50%. I'm just keeping my max FPS unlimited. VSync is on right now. My monitor can max out at 144 FPS. That's why you see right now it's maxed at 144. Borderless windowed. Gamma's all good. I disabled motion blur and film grain. Kept on chromatic aberration and vignette, and everything else should automatically be set to low. So when we do this, you will notice something right away. Obviously the frame rate is decent. Let me restart the recording here, but the 1% lows are really low, and if you look at the frame time graph, it is stuttering every second or so, which is really annoying, I'm not gonna lie. And there's not much I can do about it. It's just happening, you know, even if I traverse the same area back and forth. It seems to be happening no matter what I do. This is low settings and low upscaling, so you'd expect smooth gameplay when you do that, but unfortunately that's not the case. So we're just gonna mess around with settings. We're pretty much gonna go through every option here. And we'll start with scaling to medium. We'll re-up the scaling, see if that does anything for us. Restart the recording, and it looks a little better, that's for sure, but I'm still getting those dips in the frame time. You can see that. So kind of an annoying experience, to be honest, if you're, you know, playing this game for the first time and you want to enjoy it. Even if you're getting an average of, you know, 92 FPS here, you're getting those dips literally every second or so, which does not make it for a fun time. So let's then just keep moving this up. We'll go to high now. We'll see how that looks at least. Definitely looks better. I can tell right away. The graphics look better. Everything's much clearer. It was very blurry before. Looks a lot better. You can see a lot more in the background, I feel like, too. Which I'm sure is part of the issue. There's just a lot to render right now. There's buildings, there's stuff in the sky, there's stuff in the background, there's foliage, there's, you know, very detailed bridges and everything around me. So, still, I would not expect to have such dips going on like we're seeing here. I mean, the average FPS is great. I mean, 95, 97 FPS, that's great, but if you're going to be getting these dips, not very fun. So let's just make this epic and see how much better it looks. Can't tell a huge difference. I mean, it looks very clear, looks very good, but not a huge difference between what I was just doing on the high settings. And still getting the dips, obviously. A little bit annoying, not going to lie about that. And okay, so now if we change things from low to medium, and we'll keep everything on epic for the time being. We'll just see how much we can crank this up here. Start my recording. All right, we're getting an average of high 60s, low 70s in the FPS. The dips are definitely still happening. The picture looks good still. Again, not seeing a huge difference between the settings at this point in terms of graphical fidelity. Oh, there's a little artifacting there. And let's then change it to high settings. Does it look even better? Yeah, we're starting to get very minor changes in how it looks graphically, I would say, from my point of view. Maybe some of you can notice some things differently, but with YouTube compression and things, you probably can't really tell a difference either. It looks great, I must say. I mean, the game looks really good. The graphics are very good so far. It's just that stutter. And actually, you know what? The stutter has gone away a little bit, which is interesting. Now that we're on higher graphical settings, the stutter is not there. You can see the graph is a little more smooth. So that's kind of an interesting thing to point out. Maybe just playing on higher settings is the way to go here. So let's then do Epic and Epic. And see how that plays out for us here. Alright, now we're getting what I would expect a little bit more. Dipping below 60 FPS, 45, 46. Definitely looks choppier. Not as smooth as you can see as we're running around here. Graphics look great, obviously, but again, I can't tell a huge difference between this and if we, say, went back to medium settings. Maybe slightly. I can tell it's slightly less detailed, but not very much. You know, obviously, I would want to play on settings like this as opposed to Epic, and only get, you know, 45 frames per second. But I am getting that dip in the frame time graph again. So it seems as if I go to high settings, it kind of smooths things out a little bit. Less dips for sure once I go to high settings. Very interesting. There's a dip there. Still getting them, but not as much. So the higher settings seem to be smoother than the lower settings, which is kind of backwards, you would think. But so let's crank everything up to Epic, and now we'll change the scaling modes down. We'll go high scaling, Epic presets. And how does that do for us? 50 FPS. Looks a little blurrier, I would say, the image quality. The 1% lows are reasonable at 37. Definitely a smoother experience, I must say. So that's good. That's more of what I would expect. We're dipping a little bit there. We're dipping down in the 20s. So still feeling those dips for sure. But let's keep changing this here. We'll now go to medium scaling on Epic settings. And how do we do? We still get the dips? A little bit, yeah. 1% low of 8 FPS is not great. Average FPS around 60, which is good, but again, if you're getting the dips, what's the point? Which we are definitely still getting, unfortunately. Let's then change it to low settings. And how do we do with low settings? Still getting dips. Average of 77 FPS, 1% low of 10. And look at that graph, it's just all choppy. The image is very blurry at this point. Doesn't look that great. I mean, it's fine, but excuse me, I would not play it on these settings. Definitely not. Okay, so I think we've hit all of our TSR scaling types. What I want to do now is switch it to XeSS, where I believe we're going to start seeing less dips. So we'll start with low and low, kind of like we did, I guess ultra performance is what we're calling it here, with XeSS. And cross your fingers that this is a little better for us. So, okay, we're in the hundreds. 113 FPS average. Look at that. No dips. The dips are gone. The 1% low is 95. Everything looks kind of blurry, a little shimmery because we are on low settings in ultra performance. But hey, I would rather play it like this with no dips than with dips. So clearly, XeSS is the upscaling you want to use, not TSR if you're using similar hardware to what I have, an RX 9070 and an i5-12600KF. You can see my GPU is not fully utilized. I've been getting bottlenecks quite a bit in these newer games. You know, I was playing Oblivion. If you watch my last benchmark, CPU definitely bottlenecking me a little bit. I am planning to upgrade my PC to a DDR5. I want to get a Ryzen CPU, maybe a 7800X3D, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and hopefully we'll start seeing better performance out of this build. I mean, this is not bad at all. I mean, it's very playable, obviously, but you know, for a graphics card like this, I do want to use it to its utmost potential. So that's kind of my plan anyway. Let's change the graphics. We'll keep things on low and we will go scale things up here. We'll just kick it to performance for a minute. And looks better already. Still a little, you know, almost looks like it's in 1080p. This is all in 1440p, by the way. I forgot to mention that in the beginning, but we are testing this all in 1440p. I could do 1080p, but with an RX 9070, it's kind of overkill for 1080p. You'll probably want to see other benchmarks for 1080p, like a, you know, a 7600 or a RTX 4060, something like that. But anyway, this is looking better. We're still, you know, over 100 FPS, 1% lows of 90. Can't complain. Looks pretty good. So obviously we can start kicking things up a little bit here. So let's get things to balance scaling and see what that does for us. Still at the 120 FPS mark. And 1% lows of 99 looks good. The image is starting to look a little clearer now. I can still tell that we're on low settings, but not that bad at all. And 1% low of 95, very good, very good. See how everything looks in the distance. Pretty decent, I must say. It's not bad at all. And then we will go to quality settings. How is this going to look with our low preset on quality? All right, we're starting to get performance hits a little bit. We're getting an average of 113, but it's really not much to even notice. 1% low of 90. The image, I still see some like shimmering up there on the metal bars and things like that, but the image does look better. This is XeSS. It's not FSR4 or DLSS4 or anything like that, so it's gonna look a little blurry compared to those other two upscalers, but pretty good. And then if we move this to ultra quality, there's a lot of different scaling modes with XeSS, I've noticed. Now we're on ultra quality with low settings. And let's see how we do here. Now we're still right around that 110 average FPS, 1% lows of 94. Quality does look better. You can start to see a little more detail in the distance as well. Did get a stutter just then. You look at that 1% low, 16 FPS. That's interesting. It happened when I, you know, started looking around a little bit. So maybe since I've been running back and forth in the same pier here over and over, everything's kind of rendered in, but yeah, once I look over here, we start to get the dips. So I'll do a little more traversing after this just to see what happens once I find the ideal settings we want here. So then let's do Ultra Quality Plus, apply that. And okay, now we're finally under 100 FPS, 1% low of 78, 81. Quality, I can definitely tell a difference with the quality now. It's looking much better, more crisp. And I mean, 100 FPS is not bad at all. I will definitely take it. Looks pretty good. What happens if we look over the edge? Any dips? Nothing there. How about this side? This side is where we dipped before. No, that seems to be okay. Little tiny dip maybe, but nothing crazy. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now we go to anti-aliasing. So the resolution scale of 100% here. We're on low settings. XeSS upscaling. How are we going to look? Very clear picture. 83, 84 FPS average, 1% low of 50, no major dips. Let's look over the sides. How do things look when I do that? You know, let's turn the camera a lot. Not bad. This actually looks pretty good for low settings. Anti-aliasing, 100% render scale. This looks and plays pretty good. Gotta say. Performance of, you know, mid 80s, absolutely acceptable. We will take that for sure. Not sure if these are the optimal settings I would use for the game. I think I want some of the, you know, actual graphical settings to be a little higher. So let's check that out now. Let's do medium settings with anti-aliasing. See what that does for us. Alright, so we do take a performance hit. Now we're looking at mid 70s, low 70s FPS. Okay, we do get some dips when we look over the railing that way. A little artifact right there popped in. Not bad, but definitely feeling the difference here a little bit when I go to medium settings. Yep, there's a big time dip. Let's try high. High seems to be the sweet spot for whatever reason, so let's see how that does with anti-aliasing. And look over the sides. Now we're getting low 70s and mid 31%. Ooh, 5. There was a dip right there. Feeling that. Things look a little blurry again, too, I must say. And we're right around 60 FPS, so it's getting more into less ideal settings for us. So then let's try epic settings. I expect this to be in the 40s or lower. And potentially some dips as well. Yeah, we're okay. Mid to low 40 in the FPS range. The GPU is being fully utilized, at least. That's a plus, I suppose. No crazy dips. You know, we're getting down to 20, but if you look at the graph, it's not terrible. We're definitely getting some there, but nothing awful. So, seems as if high settings is probably going to be our sweet spot, not epic, but we will try epic with ultra quality. See how we do there. We do gain about 10 FPS when we do that. Still getting those dips, however. So, not bad. This is not going to be the optimal settings, however. So, let's then try ultra quality with epic settings. We just want a smooth experience for the most part. Decent graphical fidelity with smooth performance. That is really all we're looking for. I could cap frames per second as well to like 60 here, and that would hopefully help, but you know, we're trying to just max this out and see what kind of performance we get when we do that. Alright, still getting dips again when we do that. So let's move things to quality. And now we get better FPS in the 70s, but still that 1% low of 9 is not great. Unfortunately. So then what if we do balanced? Okay, mid to high 70s, 1% low 48. See, can we make it dip? Yep, right there. We get the dip. Not ideal. This is a brand new game. Could be an optimization thing as well. Always hard to tell with these brand new games that just come out. There's usually always some sort of that they need to release very quickly after the release of the game. I'm getting a lot of dips now, actually. It's very stuttery. So let's move off of epic. Let's go to high, and yeah, we'll keep it on balanced. I want to find the ideal settings at this point for this game. Okay, 100 FPS, 1% low of 85, 86, 84, 77. Feels smoother, definitely. We're not getting the dips anymore. I think epic settings just are not going to work with this setup. It's just causing too many dips, unfortunately. So 77, 70. Looks pretty good. I can tell the picture is a little blurry. There's a dip right there, down to 55. There's a couple more with the 5. Every time I look over that edge is when I get it. So let's try high quality. How does that look? Yeah, in the 90s. Already got a dip into the 12 FPS range. Looks a little less blurry, which is good. Ideally, I can use anti-aliasing. Get the best picture I can get. So I actually want to try that now. I'm going to skip Ultra Quality and Ultra Quality Plus, go right to anti-aliasing on high settings. See how that looks. Still honestly looks a little blurry to me. We're in the mid to low 60s, which is fine. 1% lows are okay in the 50s. Okay, this seems promising. There's a dip right there. It still looks a little blurry to me though, so I would want to get the picture a little bit better. What if we do medium, anti-aliasing, which I think we were on before. What if, let's do high and, I don't know, ultra quality. How does that look? Looks okay. I can tell it's blurry again. 1% lows of 63, 12. Yeah, I think anti-aliasing, if we can get settings to work with anti-aliasing, which I think we tried medium before, and that might have been the sweet spot. Let's see how we do here again. We get the mid-70s, we get the dip. Looks pretty good. We're getting major dips again. It was smooth there for a little while when we turned on XeSS, but now we're back to dips. Let's traverse a little bit. Let's fly right over here. And yeah, we're still getting dips, unfortunately. How do we get this to be smooth? Let's cap the FPS at 60 for right now. Let's make this high with anti-aliasing. See how that does for us. Will you be smoother for me? So far, so good. Let's look over the edge. Okay, not bad.
Come on, Gustav, speed up a bit.
Okay, we'll follow her.
Sophie will have already gamaged by the time you've arrived.
Yeah, I think capping the frames is the secret sauce here. Now, what if we cap it at 120? High anti-aliasing. Is that going to be good or bad? You know, we're only getting 66 anyway. You get 6 more frames than if we capped it at 60. But it's smoother.
Sophie already turned 33.
It's definitely smoother, I gotta say.
So much younger than you.
So what if we then cap it at 60? Epic settings, XeSS, anti-aliasing. Will this be optimal?
Thanks.
She's popular. I'm sure she
Okay, we only get in the
has a necklace
40s when we
full
do
of
that. Seems pretty smooth at least. No immediate dips. So again, I think high settings are optimal here over epic. Unless we bumped down the XeSS upscaling to like medium balanced or something like that, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather do high settings, anti-aliasing, 60 FPS. I think that's going to be the optimal output for this setup here. Now, obviously, if you want crazy frame rates, you're going to have to just bump settings down, like I was showing before.
What?
You look tense.
Yeah.
Let's get through some of the dialogue here.
Come on.
Alright, we do have our first duel. I did play this earlier, so I got through this duel. So let's see how a duel looks on these settings here. And we're going to use a attack skill. Okay. Get a 1% low of 27. And I think they're going to want me to dodge. Yep. Perfect dodge. Everything seems pretty smooth during this. I mean, this is a turn-based game, so you're going to be basically taking turns as you do this. So it's, you know, it shouldn't take a huge hit on performance during these duels, I wouldn't think, just because it's turn-based. But I also haven't played a ton of turn-based games. All right, RB to parry. RB to parry again. RB to parry again. Look at that. I mean, it's pretty cool. The animations and the graphics. This game has gotten very good reviews on Metacritic, so it's going to be something I'll be checking out, probably just on my own time.
For those who come off.
I'm usually not into the turn-based thing, but I don't know. Maybe this will hook me. We'll see.
You won.
So, all right. Looks like we won the duel.
Yeah.
Congratulations to us. So I'm going to end it there. Hopefully this gave you a good idea what you can expect with this game in terms of settings and, you know, if you have hardware similar to this, these are the results you can expect. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll check you in the next video.